Welcome to today's video about how innovation and energy efficiency affect productivity in women-led enterprises in Ethiopia, Ghana, Kenya, and Nigeria. My name is Laura Barasa. I'm from the University of Nairobi. Innovation is typically defined as new or improved products, that's goods and services, or processes, including methods of production. And innovation underpins sustainable development and enterprise productivity. And also in terms of competitive advantage, innovation confers profitability to firms. Energy is central to economic activity and production. And energy efficiency relates to two concepts. We either use less energy to produce the same output, or we use the same amount of energy to produce more output. And based on these two concepts, we seek to answer the following research questions. The first is, how does innovation affect energy efficiency? The second is, how does energy efficiency affect productivity? And lastly, do we see different effects when enterprises are owned by women or men? To answer these three questions, we use data from the World Bank Enterprise Survey. The World Bank Enterprise Survey provides information on different characteristics of enterprises. And with the particular data that we use, we have 2 rounds of survey for Ghana, Nigeria, and Ethiopia. And we have 3 rounds of data for Kenya. In these data, we have information on innovation, which relates to the introduction or significant improvement of products, that's including goods and services, and also for processes, such as manufacturing methods that have been introduced at the enterprise level. The World Bank Enterprise Survey also provides information on capital use and revenue, and also regarding energy efficiency in terms of electrical use and energy use, and the number of power outages that countries experience. Lastly, the important information that we have regarding ownership relates to the quantity of farms owned by men and women. So we look at this in terms of the majority ownership in terms of percentages. Based on this data, we will now discuss briefly the characteristics of enterprises with regards to innovation, energy efficiency, and productivity. Looking at this chart below, we observe that Ghana is leading in terms of product and process innovation. This means that many firms in Ghana report introducing new products and processes. However, we observe that Kenya and Ethiopia are trailing in terms of product innovation, while Kenya reports the least amount of process innovation. When we look at energy efficiency, which relates to energy use, these enterprises provide information on the number of outages that they experience and how these power outages affect productivity in terms of revenue losses. We observe that Ghana has the highest losses reported. However, Kenya has the least amount of losses reported due to power outages in this sample. Looking at annual labor productivity growth in terms of revenue per worker, we observe that Ghana is the only country that has a positive growth at 5%. The rest of the countries report declining labor productivity, and in particular Nigeria, which has a decline of about 10%. We now next look at the empirical results from running regressions. We use 2 methods, the stochastic frontier analysis, to give us efficiency scores, which we then use to regress on innovation. We also use the Crepon, Duguet, and Marais model to look at how efficiency affects productivity in these firms. Here are the main findings that we have with regards to innovation and energy efficiency. Indeed, we find that product innovation has a positive effect on energy efficiency. But then, we do not find any effect when it comes to process innovation, which is surprising because process innovation includes improving methods of production, which would then be expected to have some effect on energy efficiency. Again, we do not find any differences or any effects when we look at separate samples for women-led enterprises and men-led enterprises. Looking at the relationship between energy efficiency and productivity, we find that women-led enterprises consistently underperform when compared to men-led enterprises. We observe that when it comes to total factor productivity, which looks at the amount of output that can be produced from a given set of inputs, women-led enterprises have 5 percentage point lower productivity as compared to men-led enterprises. We also find that when it comes to capital productivity and labor productivity, women-led enterprises consistently underperform men-led enterprises. However, on a positive note, we observe that for all the samples, that includes the overall sample, the women-led enterprises and the men-led enterprises, energy efficiency has a positive effect on productivity. In conclusion, based on the empirical findings that we have, we observe that innovation has a positive effect on energy efficiency. It is therefore imperative for government programs to support investment in R&D and as well to provide incentives to enterprises that will foster innovation. In addition, we also find that women-led enterprises consistently underperform when compared to men-led enterprises. What does this mean? Government programs should then support women-led enterprises in terms of improving energy efficiency and productivity. I would love to hear your comments or answer any of your questions. Thank you for watching this video.